Hi, everybody. Rules meeting here for the upcoming Big Pine Classic Summer Shootout. Um, Eric Zietz here, one of your co-directors, along with.
Hey, and I'm Rick Mohan. I'm sharing tournament director responsibilities with Eric, and we are here to go through our rules for the Big Pine Summer Shootout coming up this weekend. So with that, I'm going to jump into some of the high-level stuff, and then Eric and I are going to just share some topics and go through that with you here briefly. So first of all is that, of course, you know, because of the extraordinary public health situation, is that we're having to conduct the tournaments differently than we have in the past. Although Big Pine is a new location and a new event for us, we are going to be doing this as a catch, record, release or catch, photo, release. But before we get into all of that, there are some of the public health things that we want to address. First of all is that, you know, we will be doing boat inspections at both the east and west ramp. Eric's going to go through the timeline with you on that. And then also, when we're doing this, I just at a high level, I'm going to mention that we're going to be doing 2 flights, and part of that is to spread people out so we can keep the densities down. But again, when you're on the ramp, please be efficient, get your boat launched, get out. We're asking you to not congregate and interact in large groups or even semi-large groups with the other anglers. And I know you guys are all buddies and friends, and this is really a fun time to get together, but in light of our public health directives, we're going to try to we're asking you to keep these things to your contact with others to a minimum. So you know, be courteous and patient when we're keeping our distance. And you know, I think most of everyone is aware of these public health guidelines, but that's kind of what the high level piece that we want to do is that just make sure that we are keeping that correct distance and helping protect everybody's health. Eric, to you.
Yeah, so boat inspections, Rick touched on. Both the west access and east access are going to have inspectors, and we're going to start inspections at 6 a.m. So make sure you take advantage of both accesses. Then lake boats, if there's any boats that are already on the lake owners, anybody staying at a cabin or a resort, the inspection for your boat will be over at tournament headquarters, which is the Big Pine Lodge. You'll see us standing on the ramp over there with our green vests on. So Big Pine Lodge dock for inspections if your boat is already on the lake. Remember, don't put your bait in your live wells or anything like that until you get inspected, and watch that for DNR inspections as well. Plugs, keep your plugs out of the boat prior to inspection. You know, DNR always checks us on that too. So make sure you guys are following the DNR requests. Parking is going to be a little bit of a challenge with this event just because of the size, but we've made some reservations in that regard. So the first several vehicles that come to the west access, we're going to shuttle you to park over at the softball complex on the north side of Perham. So we'll have a vehicle shuttling people back and forth. So we're going to try to do the first set of vehicles for the early boats that are launching. We'll shuttle you over there. When you park, after you park, we'll shuttle you back, and instead of bringing you back to the ramp, we're going to bring you right to Big Pine Lodge so you can walk out, grab your packet from Rick, and then you can get in your boat. That'll save congestion at the ramp, and it'll make it a lot easier for everybody else getting on the water. So that's
I would just point out, Eric, that the reason we're doing this, and I mean, we don't have enough spaces at the ramps, but according to the permit, you know, the DNR wants us to keep approximately half of these parking spots available to the general public. So that's why we're doing this extra step.
Yeah, we just want to avoid that extra congestion, and we don't want to hog the ramp just because we're tournament fishing. So got to keep some of those open and utilize the extra parking that we have. It'll be beautiful open parking over there. So I guess I would suggest maybe getting early and taking some of those spots up. It'll be pretty nice. And I'll turn it over to Rick for the next part.
Okay, I hope that you can see this screen, Eric. Does that look?
Oh, yeah.
So I just did the share, and as you can see on the slide that would be on your left-hand side, we've identified both the west and the east boat access. I don't know if my cursor will show up, but there's an east and a west boat access. Both are available. The west access does have, I think it's larger, holds, that's a much larger parking lot. But again, we've talked about, and we're going to show you how we're going to do the parking piece here in a minute. And then you'll see that the Big Pine Lodge is just immediately, it's on the west side, but just south of the west access. So that's where the where our headquarters dock will be, and that we will distribute the packet. When you think about collecting the packet, it's a large manila envelope that will have a number on it. Inside that packet, there'll be a contact sheet that describes some of the key information. Also, then there's phone numbers for Eric and I if you have questions or issues that arise when you're on the water. Also, then there's a plastic bag that will contain a paper cardstock that you will hand record the length of your fish that you catch. And then there's an SD card that will work in, or that you'll put in your camera. It's been formatted and wiped so that there's nothing on there. There's also a ribbon that you will tie to the judge ruler, and that indicates that it ties it to the day. And because at this point you guys don't know the color, so we're keeping that in confidence until the morning of the event. And that'll match then the color of the boat, or the ribbon that'll be placed on your boat after inspection. So that's what's in the packet. Like I say, if both anglers are in the boat, they'll come up and grab that and move off. Please keep it orderly and move slowly, or efficiently, and to give yourself plenty of room. The other thing that we will, the other thing that I will ask then is that if the angler then was involved in the shuttle, you're going to be walking up from shore onto the dock, grab your packet, and get in with your co-angler in the boat. So I've switched slides here now, and you can see that there's a line of showing where the parking for the baseball field is. And so people will, you'll be the one angler that is hooked to the trailer will take it over to there, and it's a great big beautiful parking lot from what I've been told. It's got a good gravel surface, and then you would be shuttled back to Big Pine Lodge. And so as you look at this picture on the right, you're seeing essentially how we want you to stage. So the Big Pine Lodge and the dock is kind of at the center portion of the picture. We're going to want boats to stage to the north and along the west shore. And again, you can use your packets to help organize yourself in terms of the numbers, so you know where you fit 1 through 68 as it exists right now. And I think I'm going to just turn it over to Eric here to go through some of the other details.
Yeah, so like Rick said, we're going to stage the boats over by Big Pine Lodge prior to takeoff. You can see on that last slide, that's the direction of travel we want to go when we take off. 2 flights for this event. We're going to go 7 to 3. It's the first flight, and 7:30 to 3:30 for the second flight. That'll help control some of our gatherings and big groups. At the end of the day, remember to return your cards to the Big Pine dock. We'll be back there. So at 3 o'clock and 3:30, that's where you'll hand in your packets. We ask you guys at the end of the day to please hand in your packets. Make sure you pick your 6 big fish on your card, whether it's an X next to it or circle the fish, whatever you want to do. You pick your 6. That's it. If there's a mistake, you lose a fish. We don't get to pick another one for you. So make sure you take your time. Do your pictures if you have to. Review them. Double check everything on the card. Make sure you guys sign your cards before you hand them in. But just after the last tournament, and some of the newer guys that have never done this before, just take your time when you hand in your cards and make sure everything's correct before turning it in.
So the other thing that I would point out, Eric, is that when we say the first flight is in at 3, That doesn't mean you have to turn your cart in right at 3. What that means is that you have to be off plane and within, a couple hundred yards of the dock.
Yep.
And if you need to get yourself organized, that's fine. But you're done fishing at 3 o'clock for the first flight and 3:30 for the second flight. So we understand it's going to take a little bit of time for people to come up to the dock and for us to collect that information. So I just wanted to make that clear. But if we see you on plane at 3:01 or at 3:31, that's a DQ. So, and we're looking. So, but that's just a matter of being fair to everybody.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't have any issues with that last time. I don't anticipate any with that either. But like Rick said, very good point, Rick. Just because it's 3 o'clock doesn't mean you have to give us your envelope by 3 o'clock. Take your time. If it takes you 15 minutes, so be it. Make sure you fill it out accurately so that we get everything done and you don't get shorted anything. So a couple other items. We're going to show you some of the measuring techniques and some of the do's and don'ts, I guess, of what we learned in the past, and maybe some good keys to recording fish. Brenton and Kyle have a video here that we're attaching to this. But a couple points I want to point out. When we recorded the first session, I mistakenly said if the mouth is open, both lips have to touch the board. That's not the case. Whether the mouth is open or closed, only one lip needs to be touching the front of the board. Okay? One lip touching the front of the board. You can pinch the tail, swipe the tail, whatever you want. Just make sure that you get it to cross the line, that you go up a 1/4 inch. Don't short yourselves and don't try to make it longer. That's when we get into situations where we got to look at disqualifying those pictures. So especially if it's longer. We got that 1/4 inch to play with. So if you're unsure, if it's on the 16 line and you're not sure if it's touching it, 15 3/4 would be a safe bet. If it is just over, then you'd write 16 1/4. Hands on the photo. We had a couple questions on this. You can have your hands on the fish, holding the fish on the board. Just don't cover up the nose and don't cover up the tail. We need to see both of those pieces. So if you have your hands in the middle, that's fine. There's no problems having your hands in the photo. Just don't block those two sections of the fish so we can make sure that it's validated. We talk also the top 10. Our goal is to post the top 10 officially by Sunday evening. Okay, we want to have that official by Sunday evening. The rest of it, our goal is to have everything finalized in official results by Monday afternoon or Monday evening. So look for that, but for sure we're going to have our top 10 official on Sunday evening. So that's our promise to you guys. One other quick announcement, couple of quick announcements, I guess. You guys should have seen the lineup, so you should see your boat numbers. Watch for that. The other thing is the prize boat, which you'll see in the video that we attached to this. The prize boat, first place boat, is going to be at Ray's in Perham starting Friday afternoon and all day and Saturday morning. So if you guys get a chance and you want to stop by over at Ray's in Perham to check out the prize boat that Lund has donated, Lund, Mercury, Interstate Batteries put a battery on it, TRS Industries put the cover. If you guys want to see that thing and what it looks like, feel free to stop by, say hi, check on the specials, see what those guys got going on over there, and make sure you thank them, because without our sponsors, again, we couldn't do this. I guess, Rick, if you've got anything more.
No, guys, looking forward to seeing everyone on Sunday, and I guess we can go into the next video. Take care.
Hey, everybody. FM Walleyes Unlimited Tournament Co-Directors. I'm Eric Zietz, along with...
Hi, I'm Rick Mohan.
Together, the two of us just wanted to reach out and give a little heads up, a walkthrough video, I guess, of what you can expect with the catch photo release format that we have for our tournament coming up on Big Pine Sunday, Father's Day, the 21st of June. So we wanted to go ahead and share our tournament sponsors with you guys, so you know who helps us out.
I think everyone can see that now, Eric. Can you?
Yep. So all these sponsors go into helping make our events what they are throughout the summer. We couldn't do it without them, obviously. So when you see these guys or you're in their shops, take a moment to thank them for their contributions to our tournament series and our club. Again, we couldn't do without any of these people, so we really appreciate the support.
Yeah, agreed. I'd just like to offer my shout out to all of these great sponsors as well. So going back to I'm sorry, I'm going to toss it over to you, Eric.
Well, just the scope of what we wanted to talk about today. First, we want to just show you a video on proper catch photo release. Kyle Agri and Brenton Hell put together a nice video for our AYA tournaments, and we thought we would share that with you today. After that, we'll discuss how difficult it is to see some photos, show some examples of some good ones, some bad ones, and kind of help us speed up the process of getting those cards checked when the tournament's over. We'll also discuss what cameras that we use and the SD cards that we have. We're going to talk a little bit about the judge ruler and the ribbons that we have for the tournament day, and how we would like to see those rulers and pictures and ribbons all in one photo. And then we'll round it off with the application deadlines, contact info for Rick and myself. Shout out to some sponsors, and that'll be pretty much it for today. We just, like I said, again, we just wanted to reach out, share some thoughts and ideas with the catch photo release. There's always a handful of teams that have never done it before, so we just want to review it, and maybe this will make sense. And then when we're done, we'll put this video in with our rule meeting that's coming up before the tournament as well. So I guess with that being said, we'll flip it over to Kyle and Brenton to let you guys see the video that they put together on how to successfully catch, record, and release a fish.
Kyle Agri and Brenton Hell here of FM Walleyes. We are your Little Pine and Devil's Lake Young Angler Tournament Directors. We want to talk a little bit today about the catch, record, release format. Brenton, let's just talk a little bit about leading up to the tournament and the day of the tournament, how we are prepared for that.
So what you're going to want to bring with you on the day of the tournament is your red judge ruler. That is the ruler that we do use as the official ruler for our AYA events. Bring your judge ruler. We do have some available for you to borrow or rent during the events, and we have some available for purchase as well. Also, you're going to want to prepare for the event by having a camera that will put the pictures onto a standard size SD card, not a micro card, but we need that a camera that will put the pictures onto a standard card. From there, the morning of the tournament, we're going to deliver a bag to you at the launch, and that bag is going to have your SD card for that day. It's going to have your scorecard and a colored ribbon. Now you're going to need that colored ribbon to be in your picture, which Kyle's going to talk about in a minute, and you're going to use that SD card to record your pictures during that tournament day. And if you do want to do some practicing with our SD cards the night before at the rules meeting, we're going to have those available, Kyle, so that you can bring your cameras out, make sure they work on the cards, and plan and prepare for the next day.
Yep, we want to be prepared the morning of the tournament. Once we get out on the water, hopefully we see our anglers catching a lot of fish, and that's what we want to do. The intention of this tournament and this tournament format is to get the fish landed and in the boat, to get them measured, recorded, and released as quickly as possible. So the process is going to look like this. That walleye will first be taken out of the net and unhooked. We're going to lay that out on the judge ruler. We want a photo of one of the team members holding that fish on the judge ruler. Now it's important that we can see the nose of that fish touching the bump on the bottom end of the ruler, and then also where we can see the tail in terms of getting an accurate measurement and verifying that measurement. You can take as many photos as you would like. Once you get one you're satisfied with, then what we're going to do is we're going to take a hero shot. That indicates to us as tournament directors that we have the end of one fish and we can look for a new fish after that. A hero shot is simply a shot with one of the team members, preferably one who caught the fish, holding that fish. Once we get the hero shot, we immediately release that fish into the water, and hopefully that process is done as quickly as we possibly can. Once the fish is released, then we go into our scorecard, and we're going to write down the score, meaning the length of that fish, remembering that if the length touches a line, let's say it's 16-inch walleye, it touches a 16-inch line, we're going to record 1/4 inch above. So if it touches 16 inches, we're going to record that fish as 16 1/4. And we record it on our card at that point in time, and then we can go resume fishing.
At the end of the day, you're going to have hopefully a full scorecard, Kyle, of all the fish that you had that you had enjoyed catching during the day. We need you to circle the amount of fish that we're weighing for that tournament. We need you to circle the ones you want us to weigh to factor into your weight for the day, and we need you to make sure that the angler's name who caught those fish is next to that measurement.
It's a fun way to do a tournament. It lets us to score all of the big fish we catch during the day, really in avoiding our slot limitations if we were to bring the fish into the boat and bring them up to a scale. It's important to remember, Brenton, one of the things we want to make sure our teams are aware of is that at no time are we allowed to put a walleye into a live well into our boat. Our live wells need to be clean the entire day while we're out on the water. And as you are demonstrating, all of our participants need to be wearing their life preservers while they're out on the water participating in the AYA tournament. We wish everybody the best of luck. Look forward to seeing you there at the next AYA event.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and you found that to be insightful. I am going to share the screen again and go back to some examples that Eric referenced here just a moment ago. But this photo here shows an example of essentially a really good photo. We can see clearly that the nose of the fish is up against the bump board. The angler has pinched the tail, which is fine, but we can actually clearly see where the end of the tail is in reference to the ruler. And we know that, and we can zoom in with our computer so we can really dial it in. And with a extremely high degree of confidence know exactly where that fish measured. So
one comment with that photo as well, Rick. We had some questions last time, I guess. For these tournaments, the mouth on the ruler in the front there on the bump board, it can be open or closed either way, as long as it's touching, open or closed. If it is open, both the top and bottom need to be touching. So either way on the front.
All right, great catch. So, next picture is an example of a scorecard, and in what this situation is illustrating is that the angler marked down 19.5 inches. Unfortunately, the photo of the accompanying fish was 18.5 inches. So, I mean, it's an error, and that fish ends up being disqualified. So just take your time and try to be careful and make sure that the photo and the card agree. So this is an example of a tournament director and our validation partners. This is a nightmare, trying to make heads or tails of this fish. You can see that it's actually somewhat out of focus, and there's a huge washout, a sun-bleached spot. And in all honesty, there's just absolutely no way to accurately validate what the length of this fish is because of the quality of this photograph. So guys, Eric mentioned, you know, when we did the pelican, I know there were some anglers that were anxious to get the results, and we had tried and discussed trying to get results out on Saturday night, but we literally spent hours trying to go through photos and to count as many fish as possible. And we're just not going to do that anymore. If a photograph is just washed out and that's the only one there is, it's DQ'd. So this is then another example of a regrettable situation in that it's not too bad a photo. It's a little bit washed out, but you can see the tail's cut off. So you have to have the entire fish in the picture. So that is one of those scenarios where if this was the only picture of the fish, it would have been DQ'd. So, I mean, if you're taking a couple of pictures and there's one like this, but there's other good ones, we're fine. But just another watch out that you want to make sure that you have the entire fish in the photograph. The other thing that I would point out as a best management practice is taking excellent photos or good quality photos in a catch photo release tournament really is a two-man job. And I know that there are some anglers anxious to get back to angling, you know, so that, you know, you'd net a fish. And, you know, anecdotally, I've heard where then the guy who nets the guy who caught the fish, he's down there trying to take the photo himself, and the co-angler is back to fishing. that's a really good way to get a fish DQ'd, because taking a quality photograph is really a two-person job. You're going to want a person on the camera, and you're going to want a person with the fish on the bump board. Just FYI.
Yeah, and if we're seeing that happen when we're patrolling, you're probably going to get a nice chat as well, because we want you to put your rods down and record the fish as a team, take that picture, the hero shot, and then go back to fishing. Don't have to reel all your rods in, but we want both tournament partners to take part in that picture.
So, we were talking about examples of photographs. As we've mentioned, we do have we supply the SD cards at the time of the tournament, at the kickoff. You guys will be inspected at the ramp, and we'll talk about that during the rules meeting, but then you're going to come over to where we are going to launch, and at Big Pine, it'll be at the Big Pine Lodge. We have access to their dock. And then we're going to hand you off a packet that's going to include a record card, a ribbon of the day that you're going to tie to the ruler, and then you're going to have an SD card like this. So we want you to utilize a camera that can accept an SD card like this. Now, we've been doing this for a while, so we generally have, some of the SD cards have got a little bit of age on them, but that's good because they're lower amounts of memory. They're 4 gig or 2 gig, because we found that the really big 64 gig and bigger, sometimes older cameras don't take them. The other thing that we've done is that I did secure a small quantity of the micro SD cards. So this is our standard, and we're going to go with that. But if you have a camera that only accepts a micro SD card, we can make an accommodation, but I do ask that you reach out to Eric or I so we know, and we can build the packet with your team number correctly, and then you would have that, the right card. And then, of course, when you get your packet, we want you to load the card in. We want you to take a photo of your team number, your teammate, the dock, whatever, to just validate that your camera's working. If it doesn't, then you can come back to the dock, because we have a backup supply of SD cards that we can swap things out and make sure that you've got one that works. I also want to just, again, go over the fact that the official measuring device for our tournaments is the Judge Ruler. And this one happens to be one that was branded by FM Walleyes. But there are Judge Rulers available from other sources that wouldn't have our branding, and that's okay, as long as it's a Judge. And what we're going to ask you to do then is you're going to tie that ribbon with the color of the day around that. So when you take the picture, we can see that ribbon is visible in the photograph to know that that picture was taken, the day of our tournament. So I think, unless you have any other comments about that, Eric, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Sure. So we're coming up on our application deadline. We put it as the 14th. We know we're nearing the end of that. What we want to say is, first of all, we put an application deadline to help make Rick and I's job a little bit easier. We've got some packets that we build. We put together all the team information and build our scorecard and everything else. So that's why we have a deadline. Now, with that being said, if it's Sunday and you decide, or somebody, your partner just got with you and you're going to fill out your paperwork, and obviously it's not going to get postmarked, just reach out to Rick or myself. Our contact information is on the website. Under tournaments, you'll find our phone numbers. You can click on our names to email us as well.
I think it's even on the application.
Yeah, it's even on the application. So reach out to us and just let us know that it's coming. If you drop it in the mailbox on Monday or Tuesday, just let us know that it's coming. Obviously, if you reach out to us on Wednesday and you drop it in the mailbox on Wednesday, with snail mail, we may not get it by Friday. So just make sure you reach out to us and let us know it's coming. We can make accommodations there, because we want as many people in the tournament as we can get. So reach out to us if you're going to be past the deadline.
So with that, I did want to recognize our sponsors again. And I do also then want to share with you additional information. So I'm going to stop the share on this one. And So folks, as we bring this video conference to a close, I do want to take this opportunity to, again, recognize some key sponsors and share with you a picture of our first place prize, which is a Lund Fury with a 40 horse. Again, a big shout out to Ray's Marine of Moorhead and Perham. Want a shout out to Lund Boats at Mercury Outboard Engines, Interstate Batteries, and TRS Industries, who are in the process of fitting this beautiful boat with a custom tarp and cover. So with that, I'm going to flip it back to Eric.
Yeah, another one we just wanted to mention real quick. Rick mentioned earlier a little bit, Big Pine Lodge. Big Pine Lodge is going to be our takeoff and return spot where we get to use their dock for the day. Super excited to be out there. They're happy to have us. Just remember, when you guys are pre-fishing this week, they're open. You can call out when you're fishing, put your order in, and they'll come down to the dock and deliver your pizza or food right to your boat. So take advantage of that too, and make sure you thank them for letting us use their facilities. We couldn't, again, all of our sponsors are important, and we couldn't do it without them. So a huge shout out to Big Pine Lodge as well. That's what I got, Rick. I guess if you've got anything, if you want to wrap it up.
Well, yeah, no, other than just, guys, we're really excited about the tournament coming up here next weekend, next Sunday, the 21st. Hoping to get to see a lot of you guys. That looks to be there, maybe even some new participants that we're going to get to make some new friends. But again, looking forward to it. Wish you all the best. Stay safe.
Can't wait to see you guys.